Hi folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode, Sundered Skies, the role-playing game. A few episodes ago when I reviewed Shantar, I said that Pinnacle Entertainment Group doesn't really like to make games, unless they're based on a license, that are what we would call normal or bog standard. This is a fantasy game, but it is anything but normal. It uses the Savage World system rather well, I think. The background on this is there was a cataclysmic event in this world, and literally the world blew up. Does everyone know exactly what that cataclysmic event is? Not really, no. The average person doesn't know. You would find out through adventuring, I imagine. Well, I'm pretty sure if your GM wanted you to. But basically now, the world consists of a series of islands floating in this void. At the top of the void, you have the draining sea, which is a polar cap that's melting and water's raining down all over everything. At the bottom, you have an inferno of the flaming skies. And you have a variety of islands in between, each one of them having sort of their own theme, their own ideas, and their own operational, how they work. For example, in Heartland, that's where all the elves reside. And the elves in this are very different than they are in most games. Elves in this game are part plant. So you get a certain minor special ability based on which part plant you are. Dwarves are pretty standard. The other thing, humans are in there. There's dragon people. The other thing that's sort of different about this, though, is that not only are all these lands floating in the sky, and you have to take flying ships to get from point A to point B. How they get there is really interesting. There's like this wayfinder, and if you want to go to a certain island floating in the sky, you have to put your hands in some of the dirt from that island and put your hands on the wayfinder, and it'll point you there. But the very light that's omnipresent, there's no night here. Most things don't cast shadows either. The light that is omnipresent in this world can drive you crazy and turn you into a monster. So it's a very dark fantasy game. This contains rules for how that light drives you crazy, flying ships. It has a certain pirate feel to it. Honestly, when I was reading through it had a very Farscape feel to it too. That you're flying around in this ship. The elven ships could be alive. No one really knows. They're plants. It's up to the GM really. And you go from island to island and get into all this trouble and this adventure. There is a plot point campaign contained in the back, which is a very well done series of adventures. Some of them are smaller nuggets. Some of them tie into a very large arc that take you through sort of explaining everything that happened and some of the future of the Sundered Skies. It is a very interesting and different take on a fantasy game. I like it a lot. It's different enough that if you want something that's not your standard medieval Tolkien, it's for you. It could be a little too different for some people, though. Like I said, I like it a lot. There are guns in this. There's arrows. The elves aren't necessarily nice. They've created their own slave race, some of whom are starting to break away. The dwarves, like I said, are kind of standard. There are goblins running around. There's a sub-race of people who have been affected by the glow, but haven't gone entirely crazy from it or haven't gone crazy at all. It's really cool, folks. Go out, get your hands on this. Pinnacle Entertainment and Savage Worlds don't put out stinkers that I've seen yet. It's not a fantasy heartbreaker. It's different enough, and it's Savage Worlds, which is a very quick, very easy to use system that really lends itself to people who have a lot going on in their lives and don't have a whole lot of time to dedicate toward building these huge, long adventures with long NPC character sheets and what each one does. This is a really good game, folks. Give it a try. I think you'll really like it. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.